running out my life, who are you chasing? Yeah, I'm 33 now just to give you a glimpse. Life without you, I've been blessed ever since, but there's
Wesley Knight's my name. I'm a pastor here in Atlanta. I'm married. My name's Stephanie. And we've got 2 kids, believe it or not. My oldest is 20, our daughter's 20, and our son is 16. When I was 9 years old, my parents split, and there's 3 of us. I'm the oldest. So I was more aware of what was going on. I had seen some things. Even at 9, you don't always have the language for what you're seeing or what you're even experiencing, but I wasn't surprised when they split because I had seen arguments, very heated arguments. And also I just seen a divide that was kind of going between them. And so when he left, I'll never forget, he took us to an old steakhouse called Ponderosa. I don't know if they had that over here, but I remember we sat down and we were trying to figure out why is Dad taking us out by ourselves to this steakhouse. And usually, growing up in a Caribbean home, you didn't go out to eat. You ate at home. So this was just strange. And Mom wasn't there. And he told us that he was leaving. He and Mom were getting along, all that kind of stuff like that. And I think when people say that, kids understand, kids are resilient, I think that's an oversimplification. To say that, kids are resilient, they understand that adults go through certain things. You can explain it to a child, as he did to me. But I didn't understand it. I remember we used to go back and forth. We lived with my mom, but we would spend weekends, at his house. He was supposed to get us every other weekend. It started out that way. And so we thought it was cool, it was fun, because Dad he let us watch movies we couldn't watch. He had me at 9 or 10 watching James Bond 007. I should have been watching that. Chuck E. Cheese every weekend, pizza, all that. But it started where he wouldn't come every time he was supposed to. And then, so it went from twice a month to once once every 6 weeks to, how it goes, just kind of goes off. And so after about a year or 2 of that, then we would see him from time to time, probably once every 5 or 6 weeks, but we just kind of didn't see him that much. And then a couple of years went by, a few more years, and by the age of 12, we moved from Canada, from Toronto to Alabama. And so there was that geographical separation, which kind of exacerbated the situation where we didn't see each other a lot, maybe only in summertime. And I remember the effect it had on me was I was very angry. And when we moved to Alabama, I actually started getting into quite a lot of trouble at the private school I was going to the point that they were thinking about kicking me out. I was cool with that because I wanted to go back to Toronto. I didn't want to be in Alabama, but it was just one of those things where I was just really super angry. During that time, we didn't talk much. He would call every now and again. And I think the effect it had on me is that I was always looking for paternal figures, for father figures and other people. Not like I went around asking, but you want somebody, a man, to care about you in a way that a father would. And the great thing about it is when people ask me, well, how'd you get through all that, those teenage years of turmoil and being angry and all that? I know that God sent certain people, certain men in my life, whether they be uncles, a lot of my uncles were great, or my Bible teacher at my school, or one of the associate pastors, to kind of help me kind of get through, navigate what it is to be a young man and all of that. Because not having a father, I was trying to figure out, how do I be a man? There were certain things I wasn't able to learn or to do because I wasn't around him enough to see him do it. And so throughout that time, we didn't talk much, maybe once a year, twice a year. Even into my 20s, then 30s, it was sporadic every now and again. So when I say my father wasn't in my life, it was not necessarily that I don't know if I call it abandonment, some would, but it was more so, it was just distant because of the divorce, because my mom and him didn't get along for many years. If you fast forward to now, I'm in my 40s, I realized just the other day that I'd never really talked to my father on my birthday for probably decades. But in the last year or two, in fact, last year during the pandemic, out of nowhere, my father called me just to check on me. And times before, he would call and almost guilt trip me sometimes for the fact of not trying to reach out to him. But yeah, it's crazy like that. And so I didn't want to talk to him because of that dynamic. Because who wants to be guilt tripped, especially when I ain't talked to you that long. But what was crazy about last year was that he called for the first time in maybe 20 years, no guilt trip. He was just like, I just want to know how you're doing. I want to know how the family, how's your wife, how are the kids? And from there, I mean, it was amazing. This is the first time that I never was mad or upset to talk to him. And it worked out that after that, because he's a great cook, he's an artist and all that, I asked him to teach me how to make something over the phone. So we FaceTime, we cooked together.
That's dope.
And my birthday was in September this year. For the first time in 20-some years, he called me and said happy birthday. So I guess I can say that it can come together over time. I think there just has to be personal healing that precedes that reconnection. My experiences with not having dad around during those formative years actually played out in a situation that my wife and I had when she was asking me a few years ago to grill, why don't you go outside, grill some meat. And for most guys, that's kind of what you do if you're head of the household, whatever, it was crazy. She kept asking me and I kept putting it off. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. She's like, July 4th, Memorial Day, do it. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it, July 4th. I never did it. So one day she's like, she actually bought the grill and she started grilling. I come out, I'm upset. I'm like, why are you grilling? She's like, I've been asking you, won't do it. And I realized for the first time, sometimes we don't want to do things, we put things off because we haven't processed why we don't want to do it. And I realized I didn't want to do it because I didn't know how to do it, because I never saw my father do it. And in my mind, I'm thinking a man should know how to do this, but I don't know how to do this because a man never showed me how to do it. And so the way that it affected me was not having him there, certain things that I didn't see as an example by him, it made me insecure about certain quote unquote manly things to do. And so again, through conversations with my wife, I think being transparent, through therapy, and through having, you got your boys and other people who can kind of say, hey, this is how you do this. I think I had to humble myself and say, it's okay that I don't know. It's okay that I didn't see that. I'm a man now, I can ask questions and I can find out what I need to know. So that's how it affected me, but it's also helped me to now parent my son and my daughter in a different way. And to learn lessons of not just being around, but being present in their lives. I got two great kids. I know everybody says that about their kids, but I really do. And I think that now that they're older, they can realize, and they know, they've heard this story, and I talk to them. I think it's powerful to talk to your kids about this kind of stuff. So we've shared with them at the appropriate age all this. And I think the way that it's affected my parenting is I want to make sure that I am humble, and by humility I mean parents mess up too, because we're people. So to say, I'm sorry or my bad, my wife is really good at that. She showed me the way of how to do that too, to apologize to your children, for things that you do. And so it's helped me to realize that I have to not only be patient with them, but patient with myself, because none of us come here knowing how to be father or a mother. And so it's helped me to practice patience, to learn what it is to be there, and to, like you were saying, I don't ever want to have them go through what I went through. So regardless of what happens, I want to make sure that I pour into my marriage. I always say the best gift you can give your kids is a healthy relationship and environment. For my kids, it's our marriage, and so I want to make sure that that's strong. And to kind of show them, hey, you can make it. grandparents didn't make it on either side, but mom and dad are going to make it, and you can too. I think the power of conversation, like what we're doing now, is so necessary because a lot of people feel lonely or feel abandoned, rejected, and they don't talk about it. One way that I think people do is they get into overachievement or like grind. You just get into your work, you do your thing. You can be highly successful to other people, but then be hurting inside. So I think one way for people to move forward is to actually start talking about it. And, especially for guys, they don't want to get into all the mushy stuff. They don't want to be emotional. But I think that hurts us, particularly as men. I think that we actually need to talk about it, and we need to cry if we need to, or we need to say, man, that was messed up, or that really pissed me off, or whatever it is. Because the sharing of that emotion allows the right people, safe people in, so that they can be that community and help you to heal. So besides therapy, which I'm a big proponent of, I think every person needs to go through that process time and time again. I think also conversation with safe people who love you, so that they can step in. Because the Bible does talk about how when father or mother forsake you, I'll take you up. And the way that he does that is not just through God's presence, but also through the presence of people.